All right, episode 6 of our training camp videos. We've got the Pacific Division, which is the toughest division in the NBA. You can catch all the other Atlantic all the way to the Northwest Division on YouTube. We previewed each of those already. We do about 3 minutes on each team. We are going to start with, of course, the big board. Here is your top 6: Golden State, Clippers, Phoenix. You could make an argument that those are the 3 best teams in the conference. You can maybe sprinkle in Denver there. And then we've got our play-in team, which is the Lakers. And then the lottery is Sacramento. You can certainly put Sacramento in a play-in team, but then you've got to take someone out. So who is that going to be? Is it going to be the Lakers? Is it going to be a team like Portland? I think Sacramento is much improved, and we will go over them. We will start with Golden State. I think the big thing will be, does finances become a distraction? Joe Lacob has been on the record. He talked to The Athletic. He said, we're not going to spend $400 million next year in salary and luxury tax. I guess not a question for you, Joe Lacob, but basically here's my response. That's fine. Who's out? Andrew Wiggins, extension eligible up until June 30th. He's an unrestricted free agent. Jordan Poole, rookie extension eligible up until October 17th. Draymond Green, extension eligible. If he doesn't get an extension, I wouldn't be surprised if he opted out of that $27 million contract next year and become a free agent. Klay Thompson, extension eligible until October 17th. Who's out? That's my big thing. And will finances become a distraction this year? The role of the former lottery picks: Wiseman, Kuminga, Moody. Certainly know about Wiseman, missed last year. Kuminga and Moody, expect their roles and their minutes to increase. Kuminga was at about 17 last year. Moody was at 12. Remember, their bench, you lose Otto Porter, Nemanja Bjelica. You took a Gary Payton gone. So the young players are going to have to take a step, big step. And it's a bench built with youth. 7 out of the 8 reserves have played 5 years or less. Jordan Poole is the only one who played significant minutes off the bench. The wear and tear on the veterans: Curry's 34, Green's 32, Clay's 32. So it's interesting. You have Dante DiVincenzo that you signed. You have JaMychal Green, who you signed, who are veterans. You brought back Andre Iguodala. But that's going to be the big thing as far as your bench: Poole, DiVincenzo, Moody, Kuminga, Wiseman, Green. A little bit of a different twist here. So certainly one of the favorites to come out of the Western Conference is the Golden State Warriors. The Clippers, I have them as the team to beat in the NBA this year. I think they are the deepest team that I've seen in a long time. When you get the return of Kawhi and Paul George, that is these 2 guys are healthy. We know how good they are. I think the big focus for me with the Clippers is going to be on Tyronn Lue, managing minutes and expectations. Deepest roster in the NBA that has a legitimate 12 starters. Who closes the game besides Leonard and George? That's a big thing. And usually what happens is egos get in the way. Fortunately, every player on this roster is under contract for next year except for Reggie Jackson here. So it's not like there's guys playing for their next contract. The competition at starting point guard, you got John Wall, and last year started Reggie Jackson. Wall's played 72 games since 18-19, right? So you're going to have to kind of ease him in as far as from a playing standpoint. 14 players on guaranteed contracts. Certainly probably the one, I guess, concern would be kind of a little bit of depth at backup center, some size there. You basically have Nick Batum as your backup 5. But you can roll out Jackson, George, Leonard, Marcus Morris, Zubac. You got Wall, Mann, Powell, Covington, Batum, Luke Kennard, Amir Coffey. I mean, this roster is extremely, extremely deep here. So this is probably, if they're playing at a high level, they are a top 2 team in the Western Conference, and they've got an owner and a front office that's willing to spend on the product. $144 million in tax penalties, $191 in salary. You're going to be in the repeater tax next year. You could be that $400 million team. So I like the Clippers. Let's talk about the Lakers a little bit here. Certainly, Woj has a great piece about Westbrook. The buy-in on Westbrook expiring $47 million contract. We know the Lakers wanted to trade him. Can he coexist with Patrick Beverley? Can he accept a role coming off the bench if we get to that point here? We know what type of season he had last year. A lot of focus is going to be on Darvin Ham, their new head coach, and it's a lot about getting the roster to buy in and sacrifice. Westbrook and Beverley, can you get AD at the center? How many guys? 7 new players on one-year contracts and the return of Kendrick Nunn. Who's the closing unit besides Davis and LeBron? I mean, there's a lot to chew on there. You got a ton of 11 guys on expiring contracts. You've got the future cap flexibility. The question, does Rob Pelinka have the green light to take back money into next year if it improves the roster now? We know about the 2 picks, 27 and 29. Are they off the table if the roster can improve, but you're taking back an expiring contract? So there's a lot, and these are kind of November, December type questions here, but there's a lot of focus is going to be on the Lakers. I mean, you can go Westbrook, Nunn, LeBron, AD, Damian Jones, and you get Beverly, Troy Brown, Lonnie Walker, Toscano Anderson, Schroeder, Thomas Bryant, Max Christie, Austin Reeves. There's a bunch of guys there that you can kind of interchangeable parts. Heavy on guards. You got about 8 or 9 guards on this roster here. So that is your Lakers. Phoenix. Phoenix is one of those teams you watch media day. Them, Boston, and Brooklyn would be they didn't have that smile on their face as far as that first day of school smile that you saw in New Orleans today. What to watch? Certainly the Sarver suspension and selling of the team. Big question, does the front office have the authority to spend and conduct trades? Can they take back money? I know during the Bogdanovic discussions that they were not, everything had to be cap neutral for Phoenix. So that's good. So when you're looking at Jay Crowder, who's got a $10.2 million contract, can you make a deal for a guy making $13 million? We'll learn about that. Certainly, the lingering effects of the Game 7 loss to Dallas, team continuity, basically everyone except Crowder, who's home waiting for a trade, returns. The DeAndre Ayton stalled contract talks. Does that linger? The extension of Cam Johnson, he's eligible up until October 17th. With Crowder not part of the future, what are you willing to commit on him? And then you've got the expiring contracts and trade assets. Crowder, Sarge, Torrey Craig. You got all your first and second round picks. You've got a lot to work with. The impact and durability of Chris Paul, 37, and has played at least 30 minutes in 17 straight seasons. Played his highest minutes last year, 32-9 since 14-15. I didn't even realize that. Backup point guard campaign regressed last year. So are you comfortable with Payne as your backup? That is going to be interesting. So you've got 13 guaranteed contracts. You got a couple guys on partials, non-guarantees with this roster here. I think it will be interesting. The Crowder piece, and Zach Lowe and I just did a podcast, 17 minutes about Crowder, and a little bit more challenging. I don't think you just want to dump him based on where your finances are. You want to take back a guy that has length into next year. Still a top 4 team in the NBA. And then finally, the Sacramento Kings, a much improved Sacramento Kings. New coach, Mike Brown. We know the history. Last time they reached the playoffs was 05-06. Has not won 40-plus games since 05-06. What is the identity of this roster? 27th in defense, 24th in offense. You improved your perimeter. That was a priority. Keegan Murray, Malik Monk, and Kevin Huerter. I like those 3 players. The 2 building blocks, De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis. Sabonis is extension eligible. I do not see a deal getting done. He has 2 years left. He can get 3 years, 75.4. I do not think that will happen at all. The expiring contract of Harrison Barnes. He's been their most consistent player the past 3 years. They can offer him 4 years, $98.6 million. Is Rashawn Holmes expendable? You got Sabonis probably at the 5. What happens with Holmes? Basically going from 26 minutes to 15 minutes after the trade deadline here. So I like Sacramento. I like them. I would probably put them as a play-in the Eastern Conference, but You're looking at Fox, Herter, Barnes, Murray, Sabonis. I like that starting five. Mitchell, Monk, Terrence Davis, Trey Lyles, Rashawn Holmes. You got a bunch of guys on non-guaranteed deals. Dellavedova, Bazemore, Quinn Cook, guys like that. So that is the Western Conference. That is video number 6. Hopefully you have enjoyed these. We will keep them up on YouTube for you to watch during training camp. As I said, we have the training camp primer that has big questions to ask on ESPN.com. And that's it. Stay safe.